So,
Yeah.
could you tell me what your position in Milkbasket is and what Milkbasket does?
So I'm currently heading customer service for Milkbasket. Milkbasket is an hyper-local grocery delivery wherein we give customers the flexibility to order until midnight. So anything that you can think of during the day, in case you missed something, you can add it to your basket until midnight, and all the items that you add up will be delivered to you by 7 a.m. The next morning. We, you, this is the hyper-local e-commerce, I would say, is what Milkbasket is. Along with that, we provide the convenience, the service, and we have, I would say, delivery rate of 99%, and the customer retention has been a phenomenal 95% for us.
Okay, so like before we get into more into like what your day looks like and like what how this affects your work, let's get a couple of things clear, right? So you work in CX, which is basically a section or an industry of work that has skyrocketed over the past couple of years, right? You now work in Milkbasket, which is a hyper-local delivery service, another sector that has seen enormous growth over the past couple of years, right? So how does you are basically on a rocket ship because you lead a sector that is very new and very upcoming, and you lead it in a company that is very new and very upcoming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that affect you personally?
So it keeps me on my toes actually, because you have to keep up with the industry trends. You have to keep learning through various modes to keep up with the fast pace in industry. I mean, a lot of case studies. I read a lot of case studies ranging from from a courier company to an e-commerce company. So everything has to be so to check as to how they are uh, helping their customers throughout their journey, and what steps are being taken to make sure that the customer receives a hassle-free service. So customer experience, I would say, as I said, it's a way how the organization is placed. So it has to be embedded into each and every function of the organization. So customer experience as a whole is the reason why it's fast, it's so fast paced, is because consumers now are more uh, uh, have more information now to them, and they also govern the data that they give out to you, right? So because how you build a customer experience, you build a customer experience by gathering the customer data. And those customer data have to be gathered in order to make sure that you provide a hassle-free or a smooth journey for a customer throughout every touch point that customer has with your company.
Okay, so tell me what your average day looks like. Like, what time does Samuel Gier wake up, and what time does Samuel Gier leave the office, and what happens in between those two?
So so we start. We start our day at say 5 a.m. In the morning, and it ends at say 1 a.m. The next day. So I leave office at 6-7 p.m. But then that's not the end of the day. I have to be on call or on email or on WhatsApp to make sure as to what's going on with the rest of the function, because in case any of the function in case there is an issue with any of the function, it will totally mess up the experience that you're going to give customer the next day. So you have to be well prepared on all those fronts, and as to what goes in the app, what offers, what promotions you run. So yeah, and how's the logistics looking? How's the inventory looking? Whether we have products in stock, out stock, all of those things. So yeah, so the day ends at what 1 a.m. around that. Yeah.
Do you have like a schedule that you follow? Is it haphazard? Is it like I take problems as I see them and that takes most of my day up?
So my day, as I told you, the day starts at 5 a.m.
Yep.
At 5 a.m. get to know how is the day going to get placed. Like that's how my day is placed. So in case we have an issue, let's say, uh, um, in case there is going to be an issue in terms of delivery, in terms of product, whatever it is, I get to know that by 5 a.m. Based on which then the information is flowed down to the rest of the team, customer service, as if this might be the issue or this is where we might fail, and the messages has to go out to the customers to make sure that customers are well aware in advance that in case there might be a delay in delivery because it rained continuously the entire night or there was a hailstorm. All of a sudden nobody knew. You see a snow-like behavior in Noida, which hasn't seen that ever. So yeah, so the day is placed as to how my 5 a.m. looks like, and then based on which, if there is, in case there's no issue, everything is running smoothly, then at I'd say 11, 12, I sit with my team leaders to check as to how are we progressing for the day, and so what is the inflow going to look like in terms of customer queries, the response time going to be look like. What is the response time going to look like? Now, at what time do you think that we'd be able to bring the number down to zero and talking to other vendors? Then you have, then I have meetings with multiple functions on any new initiative that we take. So that can range from sitting with the product managers, the inventory team, the operations team, and and analyzing as to 6 months down the line as to how are we going to look like 6 months down the line, and what are the things that we need to accomplish during that time, and what all processes that needs to be streamlined, or what are in technology, in case there needs a changing, what is it that's going to change, and how much time is it going to take to make the change before an app is released. We need to check. There needs to be a beta testing because you just can't release an app to a customer. So whatever that goes out has to be tested with the internal users, and based on the feedback has to be worked upon, so that you just don't go ahead and set up so that you go ahead and release a bug-free kind of an app the customer, to avoid any hassle in the experience the customer has had with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we've cleared. What your day looks like, right? So tell me, especially as like VPCX for you in Milkbasket, how much of your day is, say, people driven versus data driven? Like what are the data points that you touch upon during your day?
So data points that we talk about is the percentage of successful deliveries versus unsuccessful deliveries. We talk about what's the refund percentage looking like. In case it has increased from previous day, what was the so to get the RCA done there, and then you have the VOC of customer, wherein you analyze as to what the customers are saying and what are the top three issues the customer is facing and how that can be resolved. So a lot of it, I would say 70% is data driven and 30% is people driven.
What are some of the biggest challenges you think in delivering outstanding customer experience?
In case your top down is not aligned to the entire CX, right? So the reason the Amazon, surpassed all the other organizations and e-commerce, or be it rest of their products, is because the the CX was a top-down approach from the CEO, which made sure that every touch point or any request that was being made by the customer are actually being worked upon. So recently I was, I was just going through Amazon CTO's interview or a presentation wherein he said that Amazon is not someone who is launching, coming out with exceptionally new products. They are working a lot of things, but then what they do best is they you make use of the data that has been provided to them by their customers, and based on the data, they make changes to the entire process. So, be it everyday low prices or fast delivery, free delivery, all of those things are, that is something that uh, Amazon did not invent. It just listened to its customer and made sure that those are provided. So, CX, in case CX, the biggest challenge that CX faces these days are that a lot of people who are sitting in leadership position are not aligned to the entire CX way of working, because the uh, the return on investment is quite slow if you look at it. You would eventually make much higher returns in case you adopt CX way of life. However, if in case you just look at 6 months down the line and return on investment from CX and 6 months down the line, I don't think um, it would be possible for such companies to quickly innovate and grow or listen to customers that way. So that is one of the biggest challenges I would say in as an organization would face in case top-down approach is not there.
How many cities are you active in right now?
4 cities. Otherwise, so we cater to Delhi's part of Dwarka and rest NCR plus Bangalore. So at Milkbasket, the challenge. So we do not get much of a pushback here in terms of CX because Anand is very much. Yeah, there is a top-down approach here to make sure that we make customers' life easy, and which is the main reason why Milkbasket was born, is to make that the customers who have to run in early morning to fetch milk or other household grocery, that has to which is what we're killing it, right? So the convenience part, keeping the customer into the center and making sure that everything that is being built around customers. So at Milkbasket, this is an exceptionally good point wherein the CEO, the brand ambassador for Milkbasket, has that knack for customer experience. So uh, we have always taken our growth uh, very strategically. So when we grew here in Gurgaon, and we learned from a lot of mistakes and all those things, is when we moved to the next city. And next city was Noida, which was within our vicinity, correct? And though the population, you would say there's a lot of difference in terms of how the population looks like. A lot of people are the millennials who who have to rush to office early in the morning, or who have to make sure that the kid has to go to school, all those things. So, and then learning from the two cities is when we went into Bangalore. So Bangalore was an entirely new, territory for us, wherein most of the, you have everyone like from Milkbasket, Daily Ninja to Doodwala, all of those are present in Bangalore. So, and then the way we kept our dating intact, where we kept it a point that as we do deliveries here in Gurgaon and Noida, let's do the same way in Bangalore. Though with a different products, so the products have to change because of the geographical, because a new territory, the geography, the brand of product that is being delivered, all those things had to be taken into account. When we launch into a new city, so that's how. So the next city that we'll be launching would again depend on as to how the population looks like, what's the average day looks like of an of our our target group, and based on which as to what time should be the delivery happening, and how the delivery should happen, what's the approach that we're going to take in order to make sure that the smooth, um, um, you know, um, onboard, smooth onboarding and retention of customers would look like. So a lot of things um, uh, play a role in deciding as to which city we'll launching, and we should launch in other, I mean, 5-6 cities, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So given the fact that, let's say, over the next year or two, you will effectively double the number of cities that you are present in, right?
Mhm.
What kind of challenges does this exponential growth have in like delivering outstanding customer experience? Because, like you said, depending on which city you go to, there is a very varied spectrum of what expectations are and what deliverables have to be. So, what are some of the challenges that come with this exponential growth?
So, when you talk about challenges that would come, um, having having the likes of other e-commerce players, where a customer has the opportunity to pay on delivery, has the opportunity to add certain products to the cart and see as to how it's looking, and then make the payment. So uh, the biggest challenge that we face is to get customer to give you the money first before even the delivery is made, which is very new when you talk about the Indian e-commerce sector, because none of the e-commerce is asking you for money upfront,
Yeah.
right? So, to make sure that customers um, are accepting that this is how the business runs, in order to educate the customer, it's is, I would say, what the biggest challenge in making sure that we are able to capture the customer, and then post which uh, the delivery is happening. So, I mean, for us, the first hiccup is to make sure that customer is actually giving you money in advance.
Got you.
Yeah, because a lot of places you go into, though we have been in the news and all those things, but then once, I mean, not many people are aware about the entire startup scenario and who's leading it, and I mean, be it in e-commerce, hyperlocal, whatever it is. And so people are pretty apprehensive in giving you the money first, right? You never know what would happen to the money that the customer. I mean, customer thinks that what happens to the money. I mean, what if I don't get the delivery tomorrow? What happens if you run away with the money or something of that sort? So yeah, The challenge lies there is to making sure that customers align with the business and knows as to how the business actually performs and does business. Yeah.
Where do you think CX will be in the next 5 to 10 years?
I mean, a lot will change, but then a lot. I mean, a lot of business will revolve around. So where CX is today, to where CX will be in next say 5 years, a lot of big businesses would see the benefit of CX and also would realize that the ROI on CX is a long-term process. It's not a short-term process, and this will happen gradually because not everybody in the industry has actually come upon. I mean, everybody knows that customer experience is there. You need to have customer experience. You need to have customer experience. But until and unless not every function is aligned to customer experience, and the transition period will extend a bit. A lot of work will revolve around personalization of data, changing in so a major thing would happen would be the change in company culture, right? So if you consider I mean Indian government banks to a private bank, there's a lot of difference. So a lot of culture change will happen in next say 5 years or 6 years, and then so the personalization will also be proactive. Uh, Proactiveness will have to increase. The personalization will increase. There would be change in company culture, and then a lot where a VOC is being considered.
So Milkbasket recently just raised a bunch of money from Qatar Capital, right? And a lot of people like here might think that you're just tooting your own horn when you say that like your primary focus in Milkbasket has been on customer experience. But Vani Kola, who's the MD at Kalri, was quoted as saying Milkbasket has an incessant focus on customer delight, right? And they look to invest in that. And your CEO said that he looks to invest in that future. So, what investments have you
Yeah.
made, or do you see making somewhere down the line to improve customer experience for the customers of Milkbasket?
So the investment that we have made so far has been a lot in technology and data analytics. So analyzing customer data using machine learning, the technology on which the app runs, the technology on how the customer communicates with the brand, the social media presence, all of those things are, I mean, is where we have invested so far and would be, uh, would want to reach a level wherein, because of the extremely high recall rate or say extremely high ordering rate of Milkbasket customers, a lot of data around, I would say, proactiveness and personalization would have, is what we'll invest in, wherein customer, wherein we, based on your buying history, we would know as to what you want to buy next. That is where the proactive approach is we are going to take, and that is what we'll be investing in future. A lot more proactiveness in terms of what sort of an ad you should see to the products that are shown to you, and also if possible we would also make the customer's order based on the buying history so that the customer does not even have to bother about, tomorrow is Thursday, this is are the items that I normally order based on the customer buying behavior. We just make a basket altogether for customer, and then ask the customer to review it, and the customer reviews it, and says that yeah, go ahead with it. So that is something that we're looking towards. More of a proactive approach, and a lot of investment would happen in there.
Right. So, as a combination of the next question is going to be a combination of first two questions, right? So, tell me, what role do you think technology will play in CX in the future? Or
Technology would definitely play a huge role when we talk about CX, because a lot of the learning will have to happen, and a lot of products will have to talk to each other to make sure that in case it's a customer A and this is what his buying behavior is, then based on all post analyzing all the data available for the customer A should see what a customer A wants to see, not what customer B wants to see. So technology and analytics are going to play an extremely important part in designing CX in future.
Milkbasket. So, as you mentioned earlier, like Milkbasket is expanding or has expanded into Bangalore, right?
Yeah.
So, as like you expand, so since we can only hypothesize about like what the future cities will look like, but given that you've expanded to Bangalore, you are expanding into what is effectively called the Silicon Valley of India, right? So, how do you adopt your CX strategy to new customer bases?
So we have kept. So we are the only player as far as our CX strategy goes. It's something that we do here in Gurgaon or in Noida. Is we give the flexibility for all our customers. Okay, not a customer based out of certain city can order up to midnight. It's every single customer of ours has the option to order anything that he wants from list of products until midnight, which is something that I don't think anyone else is doing. And also with the promise to make sure that whatever you order is being delivered to you by 7 a.m. So that is a fairly simple approach that we have, but it's a very effective approach wherein customer has the flexibility to add or remove any item until midnight, and then get those items delivered by 7 a.m. So the simple strategy that we have is to make sure we are fulfilling customer needs, we are giving him the convenience, and we are also delivering as per his request.
Unlike like the big bazaars and the Walmarts of the world, where customer company interaction is like maybe 2 or 3 times a week, customer interaction and frequency with Milkbasket is up to 25 times a month, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean for you and your team?
Oh man, so because the frequency at which the customer buys from us is is extremely high. So I would say the recall rate is again high. So in case an error happens with whatever, be it product, be it delivery, be it selection of product, whatever it is. The recall rate is extremely high, which is which for the team in terms of customer service. A customer comes to you at a very harsh pace. So, say two error happens. Say for example, two error happens in a span of 1 month. In case of the Walmarts or the big bazaars, in case an error happens once, customer is forgiving, right? Because the recall rate is not that high. You don't interact with the brand on daily basis. You do not open their app on a daily basis to place an order, or You don't see their bags being placed on your doorstep on every day. The recall rate is high, so is the customers' backlash is high. Uh, in case anything goes wrong with the service.
Do you have like any colleagues or peers or idols that you look up to, or that you are glad that you are associated with?
So, as I was telling you about Reliance, so, I would say as a peer, I would so there's a guy called Ashish Sareen, who currently is the GM for Reliance Geo customer experience side. So I'm extremely happy to get associated with him. I actually just drop him a text whenever I have any any hiccup or any problem in terms of how to design the CX journey further. So yeah, that is one person that I look up to, and then the other person that I follow is other people that I follow is I always talked about Amazon. So Jeff Bezos is one of the guy uh, who I would consider as an idol in terms of how he has designed the entire journey for Amazon's customer.
What is the best advice you've gotten, and what is the best advice you can give?
The best advice I've gotten are from a couple of people. One is Anant, who always, tells me never over promise, always over deliver by a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is an extremely important advice when in terms of how you promise your service and how you deliver the service or how you deliver the deliverables. And the second one is Sam Walton, Walmart. Yeah, so the customer is king, and he can, he's the one who can make or break the company by taking his business elsewhere. So you have to have that kind of focus on customers.
Right. And what do you think is the best advice you can give to say, like,
A lot of CX is people driven, right? Stakeholder management to make sure that everyone is aligned to your vision. And it doesn't have to be your vision; it has to be company's vision. And henceforth, in order to make sure that it's company's vision and overall vision for CX to grow inside an organization for any person who's just moved out of business school and is running the CX front of an organization, I would say they have to build the internal customer experience. That's customer experience from an employee standpoint point of view, a stakeholder or other functional stakeholders' point of view to get the outstanding results. So, once everyone is aligned to the goal, and once the people working towards customer experience are themselves having great experience working with you, is when the results would start showing.
what is something that you learned about CX that you didn't know previously? Like say in the past, like month, for example, what is something that you learned about CX that you didn't know before?
That I did not know before.
What is something new that you learned about CX in the past month?
So I would say uh, customer service is just a part of CX. It's not CX. It's just a part of CX, and so is the pricing, convenience, the luxury, uh, and the relevance. All of those things again come into CX, which I did not know previously, to be very honest. So the CX revolves around not just the service, but it also revolves around the pricing, the touch points, and uh, uh, the the overall. I mean, be it digital, be it so every touch point of a customer plus what the customer wants in terms of uh, value add to them. So I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think you answered it spectacularly. Just
Another
like the general vibe is just whenever you're in Bangalore, just reach out to us and we'd love to have you for a beer.
cool, man. Definitely.
Thank you, Samuel. Talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.